Cinematographer Darius Khondji is one of the most respected directors of photography in the film industry. He's worked with esteemed filmmakers like David Fincher, Wong Kar-wai, Mikhail Haneke, James Gray, and Alejandro Iñárritu. In this video, we'll look at what keeps drawing directors to Khondji's work. This is the cinematography techniques of Darius Khondji. Before we get started, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to stay in the know on all things filmmaking, like the cinematography of Roger Deakins and Hoyt van Hoytema, and let us know what DP to cover next. Graphic content lies ahead.
Anybody order fried sauerkraut?
Darius Khondji's aesthetic varies wildly depending on the director he's working with.
The important thing for me is really that the movie looks like his director.
As a result, no two Khondji projects look the same, but there are still some through lines that one can find in his work.
This is me, all right? I'm not a fucking athlete. This is my fucking way. This is how I win.
Khondji often uses the French phrase contre emploi, or against type, to describe his approach to cinematography. I like to play against type. I love to cover my tracks, so that you can't really see how the image is created, or where it comes from. And this approach can be seen in Khondji's penchant for boundary-pushing exposure, high-angle lighting, and the colors green and gold. One of Khondji's biggest influences is The Godfather, a film where cinematographer Gordon Willis purposefully underexposed key scenes.
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
In much of his work, Khondji has followed in Willis's footsteps, either underexposing or overexposing when he sees fit. For Khondji, this technique especially works when he's shooting on film, his preferred method.
You can underexpose and trash it and it looks great, or you can overexpose if it's the concept of the film and it still looks great.
Khondji masterfully employed underexposure in David Fincher's Seven, which was shot on 35mm film using Aton 35-3 and Panavision Panaflex Gold cameras.
David pushed me into this direction of underexposure and the beauty of light when it's really very down and dim.
In this scene, we can see the benefits of underexposure. Khondji underexposed the interiors of Seven by 2 stops, shooting between f2.3 and 2.8. According to Khondji, this made the exteriors come alive so that the brightness is always coming from the outside. In shots like this, the exposure is set for the exterior, leaving the interior dark and menacing. The shadows, made darker by shooting on a contrasty film negative, increase the mystery and suspense of the scenes.
You got what you deserved.
Underexposing by 2 stops also avoids overexposing the 2 characters' flashlights and means we can only see what they shine their lights on. Khondji hid white and silver cards throughout the set so that when the flashlights hit them, light would bounce back at the actors. This kind of underexposing matches Fincher's dark subject matter.
How about that?
The dark contrast in Seven was heightened even further with a process called bleach bypass, which is when silver is left on the film negative, which would have otherwise been removed. This process reduces saturation while drastically increasing contrast. On James Gray's The Immigrant, Conji used film's physicality to play with the underexposed shadows. He employed a technique called flashing, which exposes the film or sensor to uniform light prior to exposing it to the scene. To do this, Conji often uses an Arri Lightflex Vericon. This has a transparent window through which light can be added evenly without changing the color temperature or adding grain to the image. This technique creates less contrast and makes the blacks in the frame a bit lighter. To give the shadows a bit of color, gels can be attached to the Vericon, or color can be added in post-production. We can see the effect of flashing in this scene. The contrast is lower and the shadows are brighter with a green tint. A fitting contrast to the golden midtones and highlights.
Ava, will you please excuse us for a moment? Close the door. We're just gonna have a conversation between gentlemen.
Yes.
For Darius Conji, exposure is a crucial part of his artistic expression. I like to say that exposure is like a political statement. It's a manifesto. I read a script for a feature and I imagine how I will expose it.
That's all you have to say, and we'll both be gone.
I thought I was helping you.
Just say, Ava, you're free to go, and you'll never see my face again. I'll vanish.
No.
1, 2.
I was helping you.
That's empty!
And of course, exposure goes hand in hand with our next section, lighting from above. Conji once said that there is only one place where the light source should be in a scene. For Conji, that place is usually from above. The cinematographer uses high-angle lighting in a variety of contexts, and often asks his gaffers to use crankovators and stands with special extensions in order to get the height he wants. In Bong Joon-ho's Okja, Conji uses overhead lights in a way that evokes the feeling of oppression. A harsh, warm light casts a shadow over Mija's face, while the softer blue moonlight, also from overhead, emphasizes the sadness of the scene. The wet ground, meanwhile, reflects the light, which adds texture and a soft fill. This illumination in the scene is also in line with another one of Conji's lighting philosophies. I try to give the illusion of accidental lighting, not random lighting, but truthful lighting. In other words, Conji's lighting is almost always motivated by the reality of the space. Take this scene from the Safdie brothers' Uncut Gems.
What's up? What's up with the...
Again, the primary light source is from above. But in the close-ups, Conji employs a blue-purple fill light, removing shadows and adding color to the characters' faces.
I need this from
Listen, it's not for sale. I can't sell it to you.
What do you mean it's not for sale?
The underlight also reminds us that there are expensive jewels between them.
Boy. You understand that? Yeah, you understand that?
I'm talking about how this shit's speaking to him, you know?
But not all Conji scenes employ such harsh lighting. The DP also has an affinity for diffused, single-source lighting. This too plays into its realism. Double diffusion is very beautiful. I also really like indirect lighting. It has a feeling of truthfulness. Double diffusion refers to using two diffusers in front of a light, which creates an even less directional source.
What?
You can see this diffuse lighting in Mikhail Haneke's Amour. Here, the main source of light comes from the window on an overcast day. This makes the light both diffused and motivated. And here too, Conji has the light shining down on the characters at a slightly high angle. But a diffused indirect light doesn't necessarily mean a shot can't have stark contrast. In Danny Boyle's The Beach, a diffused, high-angle light shines down on Richard. But here, there is no fill light, and Conji shot on contrasty Kodak 100T 5248 film. This allows for dark shadows to dominate Richard's face and to fuel the intensity of the scene. While all of these examples vary drastically in tone and aesthetic, Conji's core lighting technique remains the same, from above and rooted in the reality of the scene. Let's look at another linking element between Conji's films: green and gold. Conji uses green and gold how most cinematographers use blue and yellow, contrasting the colors to create a dynamic image. According to Conji, his love for the color gold was present from the very start, as the first quality of light he tried to reproduce when he first got a camera was that of the golden hour, when the sun is low in the sky at the beginning or end of the day, emitting a golden hue. According to Conji, obtaining the color gold isn't as easy as it may seem, and his early colorist, Yvonne Lucas, helped him get there. We were working with photochemical, and gold was very difficult to reproduce on film in a transparent medium. It was difficult to find the right dosage of red and green. For a long time I thought it was about adding red, then I understood that you have to add green.
Give us a sign.
Gold is a dominant color in Conji's work with James Gray on The Lost City of Z.
Stop.
Especially when the explorers get deeper into the jungle. In this scene, the color of gold comes from the firelight, which acts as a motivated key light on their faces. Conji and Gray decided to emphasize the gold even more by painting the actor's skin with makeup that was infused with golden dust.
I love you, Father.
The shininess of the golden dust also allows for the lit part of the face to be even brighter, increasing the contrast in the scene. Once more, Conji used the flashing technique in order to give them a slightly green color. The mix of gold and green, while certainly stylized, is fitting for the scene, emphasizing the green forest and the warm fires, the reality of the location. Green, too, is the crucial color for Conji. And Conji's collaborator, David Fincher, is a big fan of the color as well. In this scene from Fincher's Panic Room, Conji and co-DP Conrad W. Hall used 2 shades of green to create 2 different feelings.
What is he doing? I don't know.
Inside the Panic Room, Conji opts for a bright pale green, which makes it feel like a prison cell. The main house also is lit in green, but one which evokes a city night. Gold, too, is present, providing a warmth from the outside. The color reminds us that there is safety outside of the house, while the pale green evokes a sense of coldness and danger. Both gold and green can be seen throughout one of Conji's earliest films, The City of Lost Children. In this scene, green is present in the lighting in the background and in the fill of the shadows. To achieve this color, Conji used 1/8 or 1/4 green gels on tungsten lights that were set at either 3200 or 3400 Kelvin. To further remove the warmth from the greens, the cinematographer also added a subtle blue light at a dim setting. The key light remained a warm gold, creating an almost nostalgic look. The green, meanwhile, subverts the nostalgia and helps give the scene its nightmarish quality.
Débrouillez-vous entre vous.
Using green and gold rather than blue and yellow gives Conji's work a look that is distinct from most other cinematographers and allows him to contrast themes in an image. Dreams versus nightmares. Freedom versus imprisonment.
Conversation's over.
Conji's contre-emploi approach can be seen in many of his techniques. From using flashing to brighten underexposed images, to using soft lighting to create high-contrast images, and using green to offset a golden palette, or vice versa. It's a unique approach that is also adaptable to almost any director's vision. Darius Khondji succeeds by making sure he and the director are on the same page above all else.
And action.
To make sure you're in sync with your crew, plan out your project by using Studio Binder's storyboard software. What are some of your favorite Darius Khondji scenes? Let us know in the comments. Until next time, remember...
You know, it's just so sexy to shoot on film.